introduced fiberglass rovings into the industry going back probably when I was a teenager, about 14. My father designed a gun that would actually chop the fiberglass into the cornice. So back in the day it was hemp and sisal. The hemp and sisal was getting a little bit of sap in it, and it was coming out the face of it when you'd paint it, and that's what wasn't a great thing to use back in the day. So they brought out fiberglass rovings, and this is what they call the Clark glass gun. And just to give you an idea,
yeah, never seen that tool.
It just goes into, so that basically goes on our moulds, and that basically is how it's made.
How it's all tied together.
All tied together. I could make you a piece of cornice and show you how it's made if you like.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can do that if you like, yeah. This is ready to come out. I'll demould this one and I'll make a piece of cornice and you'll see how it's all made. It's quite a plain cornice. Nothing too elaborate, this one. Very plain.
Is that just a water or soapy solution?
This one actually is a water soluble release agent, and it's a Castrol product, and it's you mix 1 litre with 10 litres of water.
Okay.
And it's a good release agent. And you can use button tap and kerosene, but you get pinholes through it a bit more. This stuff is better for that. So it's just one that we've been using for a while now. So as you can see, everything's basically handmade. It's too many different moulds to make, so it's two hands. It's too hard to machinise it. Every mould's got a different characteristic and different thing. Every mould's different to make. That soak for a little bit. It's reasonably quick making it, but you've got to be on the move because the stuff goes off.
Yeah, once you do a mix.
And this stuff particularly is very fast.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just the way that we do things with it, but it's very quick. No time for mucking about or the phone to ring.
Yeah, I know whenever we mix up mud, corner cement, that's it. No phone calls.
That's got heaps of time. This stuff heals up in about 15 minutes.
Yeah. How long have you been here?
We've been here for well over 20 years.
Yep.
But the factory's been going ever since Dad started when I was probably about 10.
Wow,
I started
really?
in the business when I was about 14.
Yep.
And I've been doing this ever since. I've worked for companies in Sydney called Sydney Plaster Works. Well, my main brothers back in the day, Italian family that used to be the biggest in Sydney.
Yep.
I worked there for a little while in Australia. Dad closed up around Australia. And then when he come back, I was living in Sydney for 2 years. We bought this business back. After selling it for probably 2 years, we bought it back again. I went in halves. And the rest is history, basically. Dad retired about 10, 12 years ago, so it's just me, My daughter Ashley, that was involved in the business for some years, she left and did her own thing, but she's probably knows a lot about this as well. So basically that's your fiberglass that goes on it, and that gives you your reinforcing. Keeps it all together. Okay, goes over the top. The next thing is to wet this all out. The biggest problem with it is people don't wet the glass out properly, and it gets air pockets in it and air bubbles, and that's the biggest trick with this. This mould is a relatively easy mould. There's a lot of tricky ones where they've got corbels on them and so forth, so I've got a fairly easy mould at the moment. And the main thing is to get all that glass right onto the edge of the corner so that it doesn't snap in your hand there.
Yep.
Pick it up. And the one thing with cornice is that the reason why we use plaster, people say, well, why don't you make all your stuff out of GRC, the cement, reinforced cement? Well, number one, it doesn't flakes. Number two, it's that bloody hard. And with plaster cornice, you need to be able to mould it and shape it when you put it up. With that, I mean, if you've got a big massive cornice and you're putting a big massive cornice up, you really need to be able to scrape the cornice, rasp it, and be able to shape it when you put it up. Sometimes if I ask you. Which the ability with plaster being a little bit softer and a little bit easier to scrape or carve makes it a great product for inside a house. Hence why we use plaster inside every building you see instead of concrete. And second thing with it is it's inert, it doesn't expand or shrink, so it won't crack. A lot of people use timber cornices, only to find that they get cracking and movement continually with it because timber cornice does that. Timber will expand and shrink. Plaster is actually inert. It doesn't expand, it doesn't shrink, it doesn't catch on fire. It's been around since centuries, and you can shape it and create all sorts of shapes with it. And it's relatively easy to work with. This just gives you a gauging on the back of your cornices just to make sure that your thickness is right to finish the back off.
While you mix that up, I'll just have a look over here.
Yeah, no worries.
Love these profiles. And you can do so much more with plaster than timber, like design-wise.
Design-wise, yeah. Whatever you want to design, we do running template moulds here, like carving out shapes of any shape you want. Any shape you want out of plaster, we can actually carve it and we can actually make a plaster mould in the bench.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got the ability to do so much with plaster. Like if we're doing a GRC piece and we got a cast front on the bench where we usually run it, we usually make the mould out of plaster. and then we'll GRC out of that one. Let that sit for a bit.
So yeah, that's the process. I learned something here today.
Okay.
That's the process. I didn't know it was made like this.
Yeah, that's how it's made. And as I say, like, you know, I did use a machine when I was in Sydney back there at Sydney Plaster Works. We had an overhead gantry machine, which was good back then. But the market with fibrous cornice these days doesn't really lend itself to it. And with the machine they had there, you still had to do it by you just apply the plaster and the ravings really, which wasn't a big thing. It was quicker, but it's still not totally machine made. Still got the hands,
Yeah.
you know. And that template you run over the back, that's just to give it uniformity in thickness. So we try to get it to a machine made, but it's still all comes up neat on the back wall. And then in thickness basically is what we're trying to aim for.
Starting to take nice shape now.
Yeah, it's starting to take a shape now. Basically it, I'll just cut up the edges. All we do there is just clean up the edges.
Nice.
So as you can see, that plaster's just about gone hard. You can see how quick that goes off.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what you want, nice and quick. That's it.
It's a good process.
Yeah, it's quite a simple process, but it's a simple process. It's not hard. As I say, that one's an easy one. When you get really intricate stuff to make.
Yeah.
Ones with corbels like we've got cornice now, it's got corbels. I don't know if there's any in the racks now, but there was cornice that had big corbels on it and so forth. This sort of thing here. This
Yeah.
sort of thing here, you know. Like,
Yeah, I love these.
they get a bit more difficult to make. Yeah,
That looks so good.
that's a nice corner setup. That looks really good up that corner.